Everyone, welcome to our second virtual student support session. My name is Gayatri and I'm an outreach coordinator, and today's topic is on Time is Gold, hosted by Tamil Civic Action, alongside our special speaker, Charlotte. We hope through our program we can support our students not only to stay on track with respect to their education, but also to help them maintain their physical and mental well-being during this pandemic. And with that being said, I think we can get started, and I'm going to pass it on to Charlotte.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Time is Gold, a presentation on time management. My name is Charlotte Reed, and we'll start right here with a little bit of information about me. And just wherever you are, relax, just enjoy, okay? Because that's part of de-stressing when you're thinking about how to manage your time. So I am a retired York Region District School Board teacher and guidance counselor, 30 plus years having worked in 3 schools in the York Region District School Board. I have 2 adult children, one is 31 and one is 26. One thing I've learned about time management is we do it differently, but there are certain fundamentals when you are trying to figure out how to manage your time. I personally am an organized person. There's good and bad to that, but the bad is if an environment isn't organized for me, I do get stressed. And so I need to have everything in a certain place, including if I'm cooking, making sure I have little stations with the different food items and utensils that I'm using. My interests are varied. I do like gardening. I like yoga. That's not me. I wish I looked like that. I love to travel, have been to many countries from a very young age. I like Zumba, which you can see in the picture, and I also very much like to read. Okay, so we're going to start off with a survey. And I'll leave a little time in between because you are going to be asked to score your response to whatever statement there is. And so this is a time management survey to find out how good is your time management. You are going to be asked to answer 1, which is not at all, 2, rarely, 3, sometimes, 4, often, or 5, all the time. So the first question or the first statement is, are you a person who leaves things to the last minute? So you're going to write down on a piece of paper, and maybe I'll give you a little bit of time to go get a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen. You can even do it in your phone if you want, but not at all, rarely, sometimes, 4, often, or 5, all the time. I leave things to the last minute. So I'm just waiting in case you needed to run off and get a pen and a piece of paper or something to record your responses. So you should be giving yourself a score out of 5. Okay, maybe while we're just waiting for a few more stragglers, just tell you a little bit about my background. I was born in London, England. I then was sent to live in Jamaica with my maternal grandmother and great grandmother. And at the age of 7.5, I came to Canada and have done most of my schooling in the York Region District School Board, then went to York University, then to University of Toronto, and then back to York University for a graduate degree. Okay, hopefully that's enough time for everybody. So I'm going to go to question 2 or statement 2. So you're going to give yourself a score again out of 5. So 1, I work on the highest priority tasks throughout the day. 1, not at all. 2, rarely. 3, sometimes. 4, often. 5, all the time. So put your score again out of 5. Question or statement 3. On a weekly basis, I set aside time for planning the following week, so the next week. So for example, right now, are you planning for next week or beyond? And give yourself a score out of 5. Let me go back. Okay, statement number 4. I attend unproductive meetings or social events. So what does that word unproductive mean? Means that you could be going to a meeting. I've been to some of those meetings or social events, but more so meetings where we talk about a lot of topics, but we actually don't focus on the topic or the work we're supposed to do for that meeting. I call those meetings unproductive meetings. So, do you attend unproductive meetings or social events? Give yourself a score out of 5. Next, I leave space in my schedule to deal with the unexpected. So let me just talk about that word schedule. If you have an agenda book, or if in your phone you have a calendar where you put in a bunch of dates, some people use a hard copy, a piece of paper, a blank calendar. But do you leave some space in that calendar so if something comes up, then you can readjust your schedule? So let me just give you a bit of an example. My son, when he was little, he had an assignment that was due. I had a lot of work that I had to get done. And then he got injured in a basketball game. So we had to take him to the hospital, and we ended up spending the whole night in the hospital. Well, I knew I had something due the next day, but what I had done is I had done it in advance, and I hope he did it in advance too. I'm not going to say whether he did or not, but I was able to be okay for the next day. We didn't expect that he would get hurt, and we ended up spending most of the night in the hospital. So are you leaving space in your schedule if something does come up with respect to getting your work done? Statement number 6. I use goal setting to determine my most important activities. So are you thinking about what you need to do and putting goal number 1, for example, I completed my business assignment. Goal number 2 or goal number 1 is to complete my business assignment that's due in a week. Goal number 3 is to join a gym. Goal number 2 is to join a gym. And then goal number 3, and so on. So are you doing some goal setting, what you want to accomplish to determine your most important activities? Question number 7, or statement number 7, I put off tasks that are difficult or I don't like. So if you don't like something, you just don't do it, or you put it off to a later date. What's your score out of 5? Next, statement number 8, question number 8. I routinely protect time in advance for the most important things. So I know what's important would be the first part of that. And secondly, I make sure I put aside time to ensure that that gets done. So give yourself a score out of 5. Next statement. I work late at night or on weekends to meet deadlines. Now, that could be, that's related to your schoolwork or to your schooling. Most of you, that's what I'm referring to in this presentation, rather than if you are working at employment as well as being a student. But mostly when I make these statements, I'm referring to you as a student. However, this could be applicable beyond high school or elementary school. So I work late at night on assignments or on weekends to meet deadlines. That used to be me until I got to university, and then that very much changed. What's your score out of 5? Next, I spend more time than I want trying to find things. So you could have a bedroom. I'm sure it's really neat and tidy, or your work area. And are you spending more time looking around for it? So, no, give your score out of 5. I spend more time than I want trying to find my things, my items. Question 11, statement 11. I feel that texts, emails, etc., Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok overtake my day. Give your score out of 5. Okay, for each activity, I ask myself, is this really the best use of my time right now? Is this the best use of my time right now? So give yourself your score out of 5. And next, we're at statement 13 or question 13. I feel stressed and overcommitted because of all the things I need to do. So is that a regular practice for you? Give your score out of 5. Next, how often do I procrastinate? Whoops, one sec. Procrastinate means you put things off. How often do you put stuff that needs to be done off to another time? Oops, maybe I was on. Oh. Yeah, that's the right one. So put your score out of 5. And finally, the last statement about interruptions, email, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, friends, talking to your family, playing with a pet maybe, continually disrupts my school day. Give your score out of 5. Awesome. Okay, so that's the last question or statement. I would like you now to add up your score. And you should be looking at a score out of 75. So I'll give you about a minute to do that. Okay, hopefully you've had enough time. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Well, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if your score was between a 70 and a 75, right now based on this survey. Well done, and you are using your time effectively. Doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement, but you're doing a nice job. 30 to 49, there is some room for improvement in what you are doing. And 15 to 29, the good thing is that there is plenty of room for improvement in your productivity and overall effectiveness. So to do this, you will need to make some changes in how you manage your time. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, which there are 4 different quadrants here, and you really want to think at this point about how you responded and what your score was, but not just your score, how you responded to each statement. So are you a procrastinator, someone who puts the work that you need to do off to a later time or a different day? Are you a prioritizer, which means you figure out what's the most important and you make sure that you attend to that right away, and then you work on other work that needs to be done? Are you a yes person, a person that says yes to all social invitations and to talk to people and help them through their situation, which is a great way to be, but does that mean that then you're not getting what you need to get done? Or are you a slacker? A slacker, well, we'll see on the slide who the definition or the descriptors for a slacker. Okay, so a procrastinator. Maybe you tell yourself that you work better under the pressure of a deadline, and truly there are some people who are like that. Okay. Or that you need to wait until you feel right in order to get started on that task. Or I don't need to do the task now. I will just, fit it in later today sometime. Except that time never comes. So just so you know, 20% of adults identify with being a chronic procrastinator. They put things off until it becomes a crisis. And then at that point, there is a sense of urgency. Oh my gosh, I got to get this done. And so the result of too much time as a procrastinator are you feel stressed out, you're anxious, you might get burned out, mediocre performance, and seldom perform to potential. So prioritizers. The prioritizer is actually the quadrant where you'll see excellence because people will decide what's the most important thing and they do those things on time. They also plan ahead to avoid stress and anxiety, and their motto is first things first. And the results of living here are you tend to have more control over your life. There is some balance and there's high performance in this quadrant. The yes person, as I mentioned before, is trying to please other people. I was very much this kind of a person and responding to their every desire. So tomorrow you kind of say to yourself, I'm going to be more assertive. And if that's okay with you. And then the results of being a yes person are you are a pleaser. And that's wonderful. I think we need more people in this world who are pleasers and thinking about others, not just themselves. There is a bit of a lack of discipline because you may not stay focused on the task, which leads to not getting that task completed. And then sometimes you feel like you're a doormat for others. And in that sense, sometimes you just have to tell people, no, turn off your phone, not play that video game, and just get to the work at hand. And I love the picture of the panda bear at the top right-hand corner, because sometimes we all feel like this, but the slacker is avoiding tasks, not getting school or other work done, off task, searching the internet, playing a video game, etc., rather than doing what needs to be done. The results of living here are a lack of responsibility, sometimes guilt about not getting the work done. And the truth is there are some people that are in all those quadrants, but the prioritizer is I think a quadrant that you really want to consider, because you have to decide what's most important based on your goals and based on outcome and get that work done. So managing your time is you're setting goals. So for school, family responsibilities, activities, work. So what is it that I need to do? What are my goals? Some of it, a lot of it for your age groups in school will be your schoolwork. And then if you're working outside of school at a job, that might be a responsibility. And then often, like when I was a young person, a youth, I had to vacuum and dust. And so you might have family responsibilities. But I think most people would say at the age that many of you are at on this presentation, that your school will take priority. Do you have a plan? So that means determining what your goals are. And then the next part of the plan is figuring out a schedule. So in the top, at the top beside where the title is, there's a calendar and there's your phone. I use my phone a lot to schedule appointments and to schedule work that I have to get done. There are agenda books that are available, and just a paper copy of a calendar, as you can see in the top right-hand corner, where you write down what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, so you can have an overview of your week, and I would say for the month as much as you know it. So when you get your assignments, when you get your work schedule, other activities, put it into your phone or into a calendar and decide, you know, again, what's most important. If I have an assignment that's due next week worth a large percentage of my mark, and I also have to work, I would work on doing little bits of my assignment, not just waiting till the last minute to get it done. And my work schedule would be in there, but I would work around my schedule. You have to prioritize what's important and what's the best use of my time right now. And the other part of managing your time is if, for example, you're studying. I once surveyed, when I was in guidance, students who had over 90% and asked them about studying habits. They said that they, one, paid attention in class so they didn't tune out. Two, they would study the night of and go over their work. So they really didn't study a lot the night before, but they also took breaks. So maybe you study for an hour and then you play a video game to relax or something else. And then you keep repeating it. So it's like 1/3 you study for a period of time and then you take a break for 1/3 of that time. And then you go back to studying or doing other work that you need to do. So rewarding yourself is really important. And just some helpful hints. Make sure that you build in flexibility. Earlier on, one of the statements was about managing your time and if something comes up. So things don't always go the way we plan. And so get work done in advance of deadlines. So just a concrete example, if I have an assignment that's due next week, I'm going to get started on it right away. I used to mention to my children that they should do the majority of their work on the weekend. That way they have more flexibility in the week. And it seemed to work for them. It also, when I was a university student, it worked for me. Whenever I had what you might consider free time on the weekend, that's where I get a lot of the work done. And so that gave me some flexibility if something came up. De-stress, this is really important. Exercise daily. As young people, that's really important. Go out for about an hour. Eat healthy, fruits, vegetables, protein. Stay away from sugar as much as you can. Drink lots of water. It rejuvenates, it refreshes the body. And it's really important that you find an environment where you can focus on your learning. Organize your space. Look at your desk, look at the room, try and keep it tidy, which was mentioned before about organizing, just organizing your environment. In terms of if you're getting emails, keep that organized. Some people I know print them off and keep them in a folder. And some people keep a lot of their files like I did when I was an educator in my Google folder, and I created files for my different topics. So your Google Gaps account is a good place to organize all your information. And so those are my thoughts on time management. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for having me do this